Timing in the golf swing is one of those key principles that the amateur golfer looks at the professional and they go, it looks easy, it looks simple, it looks powerful. It's one of those elements that when you watch a player who knows what they're doing, it looks like they're generating all this speed without much effort. If you feel like this is something that you need to improve a little bit more on, stay tuned. This video is really going to help. Let's get into it. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Kerry Gray here at the Joondalup Resort. Before we get stuck in, please go down below, click subscribe, click that little bell so you get notified of all the great content coming your way. Alrighty, in today's lesson, we're going to be talking all about timing in the golf swing. So what is timing? Timing is effectively the ratio of what you're going to do in the backswing relative to the downswing, but in simplistic terms, it's how simple or easy the golf swing feels. Generally what I'll get is I've got players coming into the studio and they'll say that my golf swing just feels like an effort. It feels like I'm rushing as I come back to the ball. It doesn't feel like I've got enough time or room to strike that golf ball how I wish. And generally that's because they are wasting time at key segments of the golf swing. And what we're going to talk about today is the differences between what we see in a key position between the recreational golfer and the professional and what they do differently. One creating a lot of speed and power without much effort, and the other wasting a lot of time, wasting a lot of energy, and not getting the results that they are looking for. So let's start off with this position in the backswing and talk about what a professional does as they then move from there. So if I set up to this golf ball here, the position that we're going to be looking at is the lead arm parallel. Now, generally what we see with the professional golfer, after they've gotten to this position with their lead arm parallel, so their left arm for the right-hander, is that as they would continue making a slight increase to their rotation to the top of the swing, they would have what's called a recentering move. So the center of their mass would begin to move back towards the target. Now, when they do that from this lead arm parallel position, they have this sort of stretch look where it's almost a pause, and I get that very often. If I'm struggling with my tempo, should I pause at the top of my swing? Well, that is something that doesn't happen consciously. It's effectively just a change of direction between what the club is doing and your pressure and mass moving back towards the target. So the professional golfer, once again, they would get to this position as they're completing their backswing through the rotation of their body. They're shifting and recentering their pressure forward. Their arms would come down in front, their mass and their pressure's moving forward, and they would finish tall and towards the target. Now let's see what the average amateur golfer who struggles with their ball striking, who struggles with low point control or where their club hits the turf. As we move back to this same position, generally what we would see is the recreational golfer is under the assumption they need to get more out of their backswing. They would tend to shift their mass off the golf ball, trying to load all their weight up at the top of their backswing. They would also tend to pull their arms more around their body, and they would lose the structure of that lead arm, getting it bent very much at the top, which is going to lose any width that you created in the backswing. They're going to be way too far back and behind the golf ball, and they've got to make all these big compensations to get back to the point where they can even reasonably strike the golf ball. So regardless if you're a professional or an amateur golfer, the golf swing's done in under a second, but it's how you use that second which can make or break your golf swing. The professional understands that the backswing is simply a move to set up your golf swing to make a powerful and efficient downswing. The recreational golfer is under the assumption that they need to wind up as much as they possibly can so they can get all that power in the downswing. It's actually the opposite. We just want to have a nice 3-to-1 ratio where we're spending 3 times as long setting the golf club in the backswing before we swing down and hit it. And there's a certain way that we can go about that, and there's a drill that we can use which is really going to help you acquire that feeling. So as you can see, big differences between the recreational and the professional. Let me just hit 2 shots for you, one doing what the professional does, one doing what the recreational golfer does, and then let's work on getting that recreational golfer back towards the professional. So if I'm setting up to this one, I'm going to do what the professional does, only small shots here. I'm going to continue turning, shifting, pushing. You can see that look quite effortless. The ball was struck first, divot after that golf ball. You can see we had this line down on the ground as a reference. Really good quality strike, felt great off the face. Now, if I was to then do what do we see with the average golfer on the driving range over here, it would look to this. Once again, by the time my lead arm is parallel, well, we're going to go all the way back, load up their right side, fold the arms, hang back behind the golf ball. You can see my body's well back and behind. The low point or the bottom of the swing arc was behind. I was scooping, it didn't feel nice. I probably lost about 60 meters of distance and I had a big slice on the golf ball. Contact didn't feel great. Everything I'm looking for is within that transition period that I need to get the divot, to get the compression, to get the shots that I'm looking for more like a professional. Okay, so let's talk about this drill. One of my favorites, very old school drill. It's just a simple step drill. Now, there's a difference in the golf swing between shifting your pressure and shifting your mass. This is very important to understand. Yes, you do want to shift your pressure to your right side in the golf swing for the right-hander to give you the most amount of leverage and power in the downswing, but you don't want to shift your mass. Your mass is the whole extent of your body. What that means is this is shifting your mass. If you do that, wasted energy, more likely to get the bottom of the swing too far behind and struggle with contact. We don't want to do that at all. So if the professional golfer shifts his pressure early, recenters back towards the target, and then explodes to the finish, what is a drill that we can do that is going to encourage that? Well, it's as simple as this. What I want you to do is you're going to set up to the golf ball and you're going to place your left foot a little bit in from where it would be normally. So for me, being a right hand, I'm going to place my left foot a little bit in, flip this around if you are a left-hander. Now from here, you're going to lift the club up and above and place it slightly forward. What I would recommend is do a couple of practice swings before you move into hitting the golf ball here. And then from there, put it on a tee and just clip some off at a slow pace. So let's do the practice swings first. Take our setup, left foot a little bit in, club in front. And what we're going to do is we're going to swing back and we're going to step forward at the same time. Let's have a look. Now what happens when we do the swing back and step forward motion? We create some elasticity between as the club's going back and the pressure's going forward. It's going to encourage that recentering move. Now, the first couple of times you do this, it's going to feel very awkward. You've got to make sure that you're turning a little bit. You don't just want to stand here, put the club forward, put the foot there, and then just go like that really quick. Take your time. Even though it's a small swing, we want it to be slow, we want it to be intentional. We're training here, we're not trying to go for a full effect, we're trying to send the ball as far as we can. So set up again, normal setup, left foot a little bit in, club in front, swing back, step forward. That feels really good. I can see that my body is finishing all the way in front of the reference line that I've got down on the ground. So once you've done that, step into the golf ball. I would tee this up if I was doing this for the first time. Left foot a little bit in, club in front, swing back, step forward. And that helps me really move through the golf ball in a fashion where I finish a lot further forward than where I would. For those of you who are struggling with your timing, you hang back, stay back, and really struggle to get that ball first contact and the ground after. So timing, yes, it's an incredibly important principle to work on in the golf swing. It's not a matter of just working on timing itself. It's about going through a process where you're improving the quality of your backswing and the sequencing so you can set up your downswing by getting into a great position at the top of the swing. Try this drill out if you're struggling, and I'm sure it will help. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you've got any questions, as always, please ask me below. But until next time, I'm Kerry Gray. Thanks for watching.